Solana has had an absolutely ridiculous day with its price now clearing over $50, leaving a lot of people wondering what in the world is going on and what should we do now. And so with that said, we're not going to waste any more time at all, and we're going to get straight into today's video. Now, in the last video, I told you all that you needed to be on the lookout for this. I said, listen, we're in a triangle again. The triangle that we're looking at is this resistance that we just broke out of, now flipped into support, and this resistance at about $47.12. I told you all, if we are capable of breaking to the upside of $47.12, we could then possibly be in a position in which we go as far as possibly $80 to the upside. I know this isn't what should necessarily happen in the sense that this thing is overextended and it is just pushing through many key levels of resistance that should push it back. But I tell you all the time, sometimes in bull markets, cryptos do things they shouldn't do. I mean, think about what we were talking about. There was a 15 to 16% chance that Solana didn't break to the downside of this. 15 to 16, okay? That's 15 out of 100 times something like this would happen in which we actually broke to the upside of a macro ascending structure like this, and we did it. And so whenever you see moves like this, you can't be surprised. You just have to understand that that's the nature of the cycle that we're in right now. You cannot try to predict every single move Solana is going to make. You have to simply just be ready for it. And so with that in mind, what do we do now? This is going to be a quick video because we talked about this in the last video and I told you what I'm going to do. I told you all, if we're capable of breaking $47.12, I'm actually going to open up a long trade, and that's exactly what I've done here. Now, some of you may say, Tyler, that's crazy, right? Longing a crypto at the top of a move of this nature, in which its price has basically just gone straight up over 200%, is never a good idea. And honestly, you're right. I'm gonna be honest, you're right? You know, opening a long trade at this point probably isn't a good idea, but neither was opening a long trade here. Neither was opening a long trade here. And realistically, neither was opening a long trade right here as we hit this key zone of resistance here. Solana just doesn't care, okay? And so sometimes you have to factor in the fact that Solana sometimes just does not care, right? Solana doesn't care to the extent that FTX has been emptying out some of the Solana that it's unlocking, and people are just absorbing it and buying more, and it's going up. Look at this here, okay? On the other hand, FTX has been emptying the SOL it recently unlocked by selling between 250,000 to 750,000 SOL every day. At the time of writing, the wallet was emptied out, with the latest and final transaction of 21.7 thousand SOL taking place on Thursday. During bouts of such large selling, the price of the token tends to either decline or end up moving sideways, but in this case of Solana, the price kept increasing and the market kept absorbing the liquidity. Bulls are bullish. And because bulls are bullish, they're absorbing that liquidity as it enters the market. And the fact that the sell-off is not impacting the price because the bulls are buying is causing more bulls to buy. And so it's this repeating cycle where they sell, we buy. The fact that we bought and them selling didn't drop the price gets people more bullish, and so we buy. And when we buy, they sell more and people absorb. And it's constantly pushing this thing up. Sometimes cryptos do what they technically shouldn't do. Okay, and so because of that, I am going to actually open up a long trade here, but I am not just going to raw dog this thing, okay? I'm not just going to do it without any type of protection, okay? We have to be somewhat smart. We have to be somewhat careful. And so what I'm going to do is actually set my stop loss right around $45.50. So if I lose here, my trade opened up right around 48.67. So if I lose here, yeah, I'm going to lose about 7%. I literally couldn't care less, okay? So with that in mind, this is my stop loss. Let's call it $45, just make it easy, okay? This is my stop loss level. And this is basically means that if Solana's price ends up rolling and cannot maintain this move that it's seeing now, if we backtest, and we fail to hold support, then my trade will close, because obviously we could be on track back to around 40 bucks. I was wrong about this move to $70, $80, and obviously I want to get out. Okay, and so with that in mind, that's the move. Now, the next question that I want to answer really quickly is, Tyler, why $70 to $80? Well, the reason I think $70 to $80 is a possibility is because of what we have seen historically between $50 and $78. As you can see here, in these times, typically speaking, that something happens. We will just usually go straight up from $58 to $70, or $50 to $78, or we'll go straight down from $78 to $50. There isn't a lot of liquidity in this zone. The only liquidity that there is in this zone is at $59, at which point I will be watching closely, because there's a decent sized chance that if we hit $59, I take half of my profits off the table. Just in case, right? Just in case. Maybe I'll take a little bit of half my profits off the table right here, okay? But that's the only level. Without that, this thing usually just goes straight up 60% through it, or whenever it's going down through it, it's going straight down 40% through it. Okay. And so knowing that the possibility here is that there is minimal liquidity, I'm going to just open up this long trade and just see if it does it again. If I'm wrong, who gives a shit? Honestly, we're up over 200% from these purchases we were doing around 10, 12, 15%, even a little bit more than that, right? The buys that we had around, $16 ish, the ones right here, they're up, around 200%. Who cares, right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever. It's not a huge trade. But if I'm right, obviously we can stack on top of that 200% gain another couple hundreds of percents because I am on 4x leverage with this thing. And so with that in mind, I will keep you guys up to date as this does play out. But my current move right now is a long trade again with the stop loss at $45 with the half profit target at $59 while I'll take half of my profits. And then my final take profit level at $78 in which I would close the whole trade. If I'm wrong, again, the price falls below $45, I will close that trade or it'll close itself, and then we'll move on to look to see what happens next with Solana, and of course I will continue to update you. So of course, if you do enjoy these quick updates, remember, we have been talking about Solana every week, 3 times a week, 2 times a week for 2 years straight when everyone else abandoned it except for 2 or 3 people. So if you do want to stay consistently up to date on a channel that has been following this and knows every single move that it has made, make sure that you do subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. I also do post my trades and purchases down in my Patreon below. It's not the most active Patreon ever, but I am in there and I am talking and putting my trades and announcements and things like that. So if that is interesting to you, make sure you go down to the links below. And again, I will see you all very soon. Peace out, everybody.